Jeff. We had breakfast the other day, and today we're back after talking yesterday. Oh, it's a big week.
It's very big. Double header.
Is this the second half? Should we name it the second half and a half? Is that what we should call this one?
Well,
Full
the
episode.
demand has been, so high that we had to do it twice. We couldn't fit it all into one show, even though we just basically chatted yesterday and talked about French toast. So
it was a good episode. I listened to it at the gym yesterday. It went by very quickly.
Did you? Oh, okay.
I yelled out and disagreed with you on some things and laughed at other parts. All at the gym.
Hey, you know what I have to laugh about though? That battle, that Western battle last night. Those two juggernauts in the Western Conference, Columbus and Vancouver.
Oh my God, that was a game.
That's awesome. That's what happens. People start rising up when you put them on the waiting list. Cam's not happy, so he chirped you. He goes, can't wait to watch these two Western juggernauts go at it.
Western juggernauts, and it was a horrible game. Vancouver's got big time problems. Columbus is par for their course. They just can't seem they can get it out of the garage, but not out of the driveway. That's the they get to the driveway and they hit a mail truck.
I thought some of their I thought they looked okay though. Like I thought Johnny looked good last night, and Werenski, can't say it, Werenski. He was up in the play a lot. So and there was one other guy, I think maybe it was Voracek, I'm not sure, but a couple of the other guys like kind of stood out a little bit, and I thought that was maybe a real positive for them. Although Vancouver, oh man,
I like they benched Garland, like that was the problem.
Well, there's a couple issues, right?
Oh, there's a lot of issues in that.
Well, the thing is they need to rely on Demko so much, and if he's not superhuman, if he's just good, it's
just good this year too.
Yeah, it's trouble. And I have no doubt Demko is going to get back to, right up near the top. He's just not making that Hall of Fame save that they need. And, I look at them in Edmonton and they rely on their goaltending so much, and so if the goaltending isn't making the saves they're supposed to, and then a bunch they're not, they're in trouble. So there's two teams, Edmonton and Vancouver. I could see moving a forward for some defensive help, because you just can't ask these goalies, and Demko didn't play last night, but you can't keep asking these goalies to make these Hall of Fame saves.
Martin didn't play bad. He just didn't have any help, really, to be honest with you. And when I went and seen them in Seattle, the big thing that I noticed between teams that are good and teams that are average and to not good is the fighting of the puck. The puck just doesn't end up on their stick, right? They just always, no matter what, it bounces. And what I noticed with Demko was he was making the saves, but he didn't have control of the puck. It would just kind of got saved, but it wasn't like he was the year before, where he was able to control the puck. And that's all. I think that's what changes a team right there is how the puck treats you, and it's not treating them very well right now. No,
it's really early, but I watched. It's super early, and I know everybody in Vancouver's panicking again. But
we've got Jeff. We've got the parade route. We've got the floats.
I know everything's ready. Everything's ready to go. I know that, but if you just look in the Pacific Division, here's what I'm going to say: outside of Calgary and maybe LA, but I'm going to just throw Calgary in a league by themselves right now.
Absolutely.
Whoever else figures out how to play a little bit of defense is going to make the playoffs. Now, Edmonton's really good at outscoring their problems, but I think if you can play defense in the Pacific, I think you're going to get second or third.
Right.
We'll see. Here's
the problem. Edmonton, like you say, they outscore their problems, but that doesn't mean their problems leave. Right. So that problem still there. So it only gets you to a certain point. It's just like life. If you ignore your problems, they're still going to come and bite you on the ass. They gotta solve it.
Well, you know, with Daryl in Calgary, he's, you know, there's no question the identity of that team. Bruce Cassidy's down here in Vegas. They're going to become a little bit more defensively structured as the year goes on. And I think there's enough in the tank there. If they play well defensively, they'll get in. The question I have in Edmonton is, you know, I mean, we shouldn't be fooled by this. This is the way this team's kind of high flying. They're exciting. I watch Edmonton every night. But my only concern with Edmonton is you are paying your all-star defenseman Darnell Nurse. He's up in the play all night, and that might just be the way they play. But he's your shutdown D. And last night I watched him multiple times below the top of the circles in the offensive zone, down below the hash marks, down by the goal line. And so I'm not saying that they need to take that part away from his game, but just round off the edges a little bit in Edmonton, like just a little bit more attention to detail on defensive side. And that just doesn't go for him or their defense. That goes for their forwards too. I mean, you know, you look at the way they're built, they are an offensive juggernaut, but I think, you know, they're going to need to figure out this defensive side of it and take a little bit of pressure off their goalie. So, you know, and that's not to say, like, I mean, Darnell Nurse is their top D. Look at Roman Yossi or Makar. But those guys, you know what? They're top scoring defensemen. But Hedman's another guy, very, very structurally sound on the defensive side too. So there you go.
Well, enough about that. We got lots of time. Our guest today is the head coach of the Ontario Reign. He's going to drop by. It's Marco Sturm, an NHL player, and now assistant coach, Olympic coach, and now head coach of the Ontario Reign. This interview is brought to you by SuperDeker, superdeker.com. It's a training system that'll take you from the basement to the penthouse. SuperDeker.com. Use slices, get some sort of discount, and enjoy yourself. All right, let's go to our interview, shall we, Jeff?
Let's do it.
Oh, we've got a special guest today. He's the head coach of the Ontario Reign, but he lives in Los Angeles. Please welcome Marco Sturm. Hello, Marco. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Ian. Hi, Jeff. Thanks.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on the show. I know you're busy. Last year, you were assistant coach with the Los Angeles Kings, and now you're head coach with the Ontario Reign. Was that a direction you expected to go?
To be honest, not really. You know, but over the course the last few years, so I was the assistant coach for the Kings for the last 4 years. I think started a little bit last year. You know, the position came up, the opportunity came up, and then they asked me if I wanted to be the head coach, and that really changed my mind really quickly. I think my goal is not to be assistant coach for 20 years in that league.
Right.
I think I have different goals and different things in my head, and I really believe this is the right direction to, you know, be a head coach maybe one day and be a better coach.
That's awesome. Let's go back to the beginning. So you grew up in Germany and you start playing hockey there. Are you good right from the get-go?
I was. I can't lie, but you know, it's funny because a lot of parents, you know, it's always the parents anyway, but a lot of parents, they tried so hard and they put so much money in, and the kids you know, even when there's a little, but at the end of the day, the kid, the player, the athlete, you have to kind of have to be born with you know, with the talent and
right.
stuff like that. So yes, you can work on little things, and you can donate a lot of money during that time. But end of the day, I just had that gift, and I was very lucky enough, and that's why only 700 players make it to the NHL. So it's not easy. Everything has to be perfect, and I was just, you know, just one of those kids, and even at a young age, I was just different than anyone else. So I was that good, and that's why I made it.
Where did you start? Like, where was your minor hockey, like in Germany?
Germany, it's all about soccer, it's about tennis. So hockey, it was never really that big. But my dad, he was the guy who kind of pushed me a little bit, and he saw it right away. Damn, I'm better than anyone else. So he kind of pushed me, and of course I started to like it because I was dominating and I scored a lot of goals. As a kid, you always want to score a lot of goals. So, and then all of a sudden I took off, and I still played soccer. I played different sports, but yeah, hockey was just that was something special.
What
Yeah.
age do you make the move to someplace where it's more competitive?
For me, it was with 15. I think it starts with 14, 15. Then you kind of know what's going on. And with 16, I already turned pro. It's a little different in Europe. Turning pro here in with 16, it's probably impossible in the States or Canada. But back home, I played with men, and that really helped me to get a good player really fast. And I got drafted, and that really helped a lot.
And when you say pro, what kind of money are they paying you?
I got to think here. So when in my first year, I probably made around 30,000-40,000 a year. Euro.
16, that's huge.
Tax free. And I got a free car
Boy.
for the season. So yeah, no, it was good. I mean, listen, but it was not about the money. It was just getting into the league, but it's definitely a good start. And as a young kid, having a little bit of cash on the side, it always helped.
Right. Jeff?
Hey, Marco, so were you able to stay at home, like say from 12 to 15 before you went on to play pro? Like, did you have to travel around? Because soccer, as you said, is so massive over there, and tennis and other sports. Did you find that there was enough kids in your community in the minor hockey programs, or did they have to kind of blend from other towns and cities? How did?
Sorry, yeah. I was really, I was really lucky to grow up in an area. We still had to drive an hour or hour and a half to the rink or to practice, or my dad had to do it. Even with the Autobahn, he can just go. But we went 4 times a week. They drove me since I was 6 years old until 15. So thanks to my parents, they gave me the opportunity. But the team and the organization I grew up, it was probably one of the best in Germany. And that was for me, growing up in that environment and having that support and develop the player I wanted to be with around good coaches and good players. So that was very lucky as well.
So when you started playing at 16, like, and when you say men, what is the average age of the pro league that you started in over there, and what was the team?
Yeah, the team was really good, and but we had I was 16. Our oldest guy was 40. The average, I don't know, the average probably was around 28. So I was the young buck. I was like their son. But they helped me, right? They treated me like not like a young kid, but they, even coming to the rink, being a pro, a lot of little things. So I was very fortunate. But yeah, but even on the ice, you don't play against juniors, you play against men. And that's why I was ahead of other guys, other kids coming into San Jose, my first camp, because I already had a chance to play against men. And that's a huge difference.
What was that? What was that team, Marco? What was the name of that team?
The Landshut Cannibals.
No,
The Landshut is my hometown, and the Cannibals. You can picture yourself the logo. It was pretty good, pretty good.
They started with 18 players and went down to 12 by the end.
Yeah.
That's just. Yeah. Hey, so when you guys, how many games did you play? And then I guess playing with men, obviously there's the strength and the speed is huge. But one of the things that the European game has really developed over here in North America, has helped bring puck possession. So as far as skills and I guess the amount of games you played, but in practice, were you guys doing a lot of puck work, a lot of possession kind of drills? Like, and did you practice every day, or did they give you a couple days off over there?
Usually, 1 day a week was off, and that was usually the Monday because the games were Friday and Sunday. We played 54 games in a season, and but I was still so young, so I still had to play for the national team as well, the under 16. I played up to for the under 17, under 18. So my season was packed. What was good, but it changed maybe now, but back when I grew up, with the big ice rink, because the rink is bigger in Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we focus more on skating, and because you have so much more room, we can go, and skating was my biggest strength too. So I try to work on that kind of stuff, and then becoming a solid two-way player, and the scoring and all that kind of stuff. It came later on. The focus was more on playing good defense and skate.
Interesting. How does that big rink affect you when you come to the smaller rink in the NHL? Does it?
I'm not gonna lie, but over here in the States, they give the Europeans a hard time. We're a bunch of, you know what I mean, and because we're so used to the big rink, right? Nobody gets hit because you can't really catch them, right? Yeah. You get bumps. So as soon as you go to a small one, you have no time, you have no room, and there's just hitting nonstop, right? So it was a big transition. It was, and some guys like it, some guys don't, and some guys can't deal with that. So it's an adjustment big time because you have no time and you always get hit constantly.
As a coach, does that help you relate to the Europeans that come into the league? Do you give them more time than a North American coach would with that change?
I don't know more time, but that's a really good question because even when I have my guys here in my room, but I understand the European players. I know how they think. I know what they're going through in an early stage. So that really helped, and I'm trying to help them much as I can because I had the same experience. And usually the Europeans are even more quiet too, right? They're not talking that much. So I go up to them, and because I was the same way, right? So it is a good question, and yeah, definitely. I'm not saying they're getting more love, but they might get a little bit more help.
That's nice.
Well, and just so people that might or might not know, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marco, but North American rinks are 200 feet long by 85 feet wide. European and Olympic size is 200 feet long by 100 wide.
Yeah.
So, like Marco says, there's so much more room. You could turn a semi-tractor around behind the nets and the corners, and so obviously skating and puck possession is a lot more important. But is that correct on the 200 by 100 over there? Most rinks in Europe.
Yes, they're most rinks. They're getting a little bit smaller as of late. The new rinks a little bit, but still, yeah. Especially in your own end or in opposite end, whatever. It's like you said, coming out of the corner, there's a lot of room. There's a lot of room, right?
It's pretty funny when the American guys and the Americans and Canadians end up on the bigger rink. They'll make a pass and it just won't get there.
And it's and the Canadians and Americans, they love the dump and chase, right? They love to get the puck in, they love to get going. But over there, they might have to change the game too, at the Olympics, because it's going to be exhausting, right? It's a long way. So they might have to change their game as well and the system.
Like it. So you end up, you're drafted to come to the NHL by the San Jose Sharks. What age were you drafted?
17, sorry.
17?
Yeah.
So, and then what year do you come over to, do you come over to North America? What year do you come over?
I was at camp at 1996. But then I played my first season. I went back home for another year to Germany.
Mhm.
And then 97 I came over here.
97. And is it a dream like a Canadian American kid, or is it another team? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was definitely prior to the draft, you have some meetings with some teams, right? So you're kind of hoping for hopefully that team that picks you, whatever. But then end of the day, you just hope you're gonna get drafted, right? Please, somebody pick me. But I picked the right team, or I got picked from the right team. They had a great organization, great fans, very expensive, right? San Jose is very expensive, but it was just overall, it was the perfect fit. They had not a lot of young kids, but then they had a lot of veterans, and to get into that environment with Daryl Sutter as a coach too was
Right.
really hard on me. But you know what? To this day, I think he was the best coach I ever had. Very direct, very hard, but I became a better player and a better person. So that was good. No, and I like the logo too, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, that's interesting that you come over and first coach you get over here is Daryl.
Yeah.
And I mean, you couldn't get any more old school,
No.
but you've seen, and you must, I don't know, just a question. Do you keep in touch with him or any of the other coaches you had? Because when you watch Daryl, he's old school, but he's evolved, and he's a really interesting kind of guy to watch because he's had such a brilliant coaching career, and he's had such a big effect on so many players.
Yeah, no, I do, and same as Daryl. So I think every time we play Calgary, he made sure he's going to say hi to me, and that's the relationship we had. He was always my dad too. Like he was unbelievable to me. He kicked my butt, though, but I knew if I work hard every day, I knew I'm gonna get the ice time, and I knew he's gonna start to like me, and that's pretty much what I did, and yeah, I'm still, yes, he's different, he's hard, but I'm still probably one of his biggest fans and no, and then some other coaches too, right? The ones you have good relationships, the ones you probably think I learned the most. Those are the ones, you know what, you're still in contact with.
That's great. And now, so how many games do you play in the NHL?
Regular season games, 940, close to. I didn't make it to 1,000, unfortunately.
Impressive. That's
Yeah.
impressive. And now you're coming to the end of playing in the NHL. Are you instantly, I'm going to go into coaching, or what's your next step in life? What are you thinking?
Yeah, it was hard because I had 2 ACLs on the end of my career. So I kind of knew, shit, I'm done, right? And it's hard. As for an athlete or in any business, probably, if you kind of know it, you coming to the end, it's not easy. And it was mentally, I had a really hard time. But the good thing was I had my family, I had my 2 kids and wife. My last team were the Florida Panthers. So we kind of stayed in Florida. We said, you know what, just see what happens. But then I started to coach my kids. And that's how it all started. And then all of a sudden the national team called me, and 4 years later, I was the head coach of Team Germany. So everything happened really fast, but I never wanted to be a coach.
Really?
Never. No, I thought it's just not me. It's just not me. But soon as I started doing it, even with the kids, I don't know, everyone came up to me, wow, right? You have something. And I felt it too. And that's yeah, and that was it. That was the start.
So Marco, so you go from, I mean, what an experience representing your country, being a coach, and you guys had a hell of a run in the Olympics. But when you're in Florida, I believe at the time, or you're in between trying to figure out what you're going to do, and then all of a sudden you get this opportunity to coach for your country in the game you love, and you know you're obviously a hero over there. Who do you call first? I mean, the alarm bells must have been going off in your head, like, oh my, you know, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Where do you start? How do you build that? You know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, like we talked about being maybe being a scout in North America. That's how we started. And they told me no, they don't want the scout over here in North America. I'm like, okay, I was really surprised. I'm like, but we want to work with you. I'm like, okay, well, what do you guys want? He's like, no, we want you to do everything over here. I'm like, oh my God. So that really was shocking to me. So be the head coach, be the general manager, run everything. But I'm like, okay, I will do it, but I'm not going to leave Florida. All right. So I'm like, I can't do that, right? So the first 3 years, I kind of went back and forth, right? There's not too many events, I gotta say. There's only 5-6 events a year back home in Germany. But you know, so I kind of went back and forth. So that was, but it worked out. But I had to change a lot of things. The structure of coaching in from youth hockey to the national team, the structure within the national team. So there was a lot of things I had to change. I brought in my guys, what I thought I can trust, and the guys would help me. I had to make some tough decisions and firing too, unfortunately. But right away they knew what my plan was, and you know, again, I was lucky enough to be in the NHL and be as a player and be around a good organization. So I had a lot of things in my head, and I was trying to, you know, do the same thing with the national team, and worked out well.
That's awesome. Who did you have on that team that went to the Olympics that's in the NHL now?
I mean, Olympics, the one Olympics, you know, we won silver. That was the one with remember, there was no NHL players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even on that team, I think right now there's actually probably nobody.
Really?
But yeah, I even for the prior to the Olympics, I had Draisaitl, I had Moritz Seider from Detroit, Draisaitl. You know, I had these guys. Stutzle from Ottawa was under 16. He was still a little young kid, under 16. But I had some veterans with Gotch, Ehrhoff, Seidenberg. These guys played in NHL, and were a big help.
The amount of Germans that have played in the NHL is very small. So are you guys all pretty much in contact with each other and pick each other's brains or
yeah, we try to. Yeah, we try to. And you know what? It's because there's not too many. It's always nice to speak German too, you know, believe it or not. It's so when we play each other or whatever, we always try to hook up and, you know, talk German and stuff like that. So it's always good. It's a small group of Germans. I think we even since the Olympics and since we changed the structure back home, we're getting more young kids over here, so that is good. Mm-hmm. But still, there's a lot of work to do.
Hey, so with what's going on, obviously you're still heavily involved with the program over there. You're kind of one of the foundation pieces of it. How much of that time now? I mean, you spent the last 4 years as an assistant, you know, and you've had some ability to work with Germany, but now you're the head coach. How much time does the you know, do you have to put towards or kind of make time for the German national team or anything else that might, you know, be something to do with hockey in Germany?
Yeah, you know, when I got here to LA, I think the first still not try to stay involved, but I still helped some way. I got a lot of calls and stuff like that. But I knew for me, I wanted to have the new guy, the new head coach. I wanted to have him a fair opportunity too, because if I get too much involved, they're all asking about me, the media and everything, and it shouldn't be. That was my time. Now I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna let the new guys or the new guys in like head coach, management, or whatever, let them do the work and go their own way instead of going back to me all the time. So really quickly, I kind of stopped doing things because I thought it was better for me and for the national team. I'm still in contact with them once in a while. I know always what's going on. I still do a lot of media stuff and podcast and stuff like that. So I'm still involved, but not as much. And it's getting less and less too. So, I'm busy enough. Ian bugged me for this one for a long time. We just couldn't
Couple years.
get the
Like, come on.
So no, it's just too busy. But yeah, I do care about them.
I tried to get you on the off season. I was like, oh man, I got to get him now. He's in season. I'm like, I see his response, and basically it said, "Fuck you."
Well, we tried to get you Saturday night, or was it Friday night after the home opener? I came out. I was at the game in Ontario. I said, yeah, let's call Marco right now after that big win. You guys were a juggernaut. Let's maybe talk. One of the things I think is really interesting is where you've come from, what you bring, as far as globally to the game. But now you're in the Kings organization, 4 years assistant. Now you're the head guy on their, the American League team. And what I saw the other night, and just maybe speak to how well you know these kids and maybe the difference of how you look at it now. But what I saw the other night is a team that has some really nice young pieces there. In the next, like, all I took away from, I said to Ian, is the LA Kings look really like they're set up really well here for the next bunch of years with what's going on. But the organization as well as anybody, because now you're down there with these kids every day. Kind of what's your take on your team this year and what you need to do to help these kids get to the next level?
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons why they offered me the job, because I've been here 4 years. I know everything. I've been with the coaching staff, the Kings coaching staff for a while too. So now my job is to develop and also teach those young kids to go to the next level, right? And still win some hockey games once in a while. But what I can see, and that's the experience I had, especially the guys who get called up. There was always something, and we felt like there was always something missing. They're maybe not as prepared. They still need to learn. But I saw this right away because it happened all the time, right? So now I'm trying to fix it here, right? So if they get the call up, the coaches don't have to worry about little things and especially on the ice or even off the ice too. So there's a lot of details where we are looking for. And not just on the ice, I mentioned it off the ice too, what those young kids have to learn. And what I saw so far is we have a lot of skill, we have a lot of talent, but we still try to figure out how to play the right game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To be an NHL player, to be a LA King. That's most important, to be a LA King, because we have a plan with the Kings. So now those young kids got to fit in there as soon as possible. So yeah, it's a work in progress. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. But being my own boss, I think it's really, really cool. And so far I enjoy every day.
Do you meet up with Blake and the head coach up there and say this guy is good here, but he's not going to be good up there? Like, are those hard conversations they have with you?
Yeah,
Oh,
no, I do. And the nice part here, we have the great facility here at Toyota Center, and right next door, that's where the Kings are. So, the coaches are here. I go there almost every day. It's a good
Right.
relationship. I've been really good. And if I go upstairs, I see Rob Lake, and so they know what's going on from our side. I know what's going on over there. So it really helps too, right? Because if there's a call up, they know exactly what's going on,
right.
and it's not talking to other organization. That's not normal too. So again, the Kings, I think they really do it the right way. Even management, these guys work, and I think slowly that kind of work it pays off.
It's interesting. It seems like that the teams are going that way where everybody's under one umbrella, whereas before you didn't feel like everybody was under different umbrellas, and sometimes they just cross over trying to stay out of the rain.
Yeah.
That's good to hear that.
Well,
And sneak over and get free socks from Lululemon from Dana.
Hey, Ian, did you see my note in the back here?
No, what does it say?
Oh, you can't really tell, right? So here's my thing. I like to write on it. So if guys come in, right, even I'm telling them what to do better, but I also put some notes there, right? So if I said Ian needs to work on his skating and shooting, right? So as soon as I put that on it, that means it's going to go upstairs. It's going to go to Todd's King staff. It's going to go to Dana. Everyone will know it for sure.
Right.
But that's the nice part, to be in one, in the same house, because, it's short distance. So, and everyone who comes here, he will read that for sure.
Well, I'm very upset that you think my skating needs work.
Yeah, I saw a few clips, so
I don't have
guys coming in.
I don't have cannibal skating.
The guys coming in are just hoping their name isn't Ian, but just for some of our other people out there, the Kings have their practice facility put together in Hermosa, and the rain. Sorry, El Segundo. I don't know why. Sorry, Marco. I keep saying that.
No.
I love Hermosa, but so Marco and the Rain are in the same building as the LA Kings. So those guys all practice together, and then you guys go out to Ontario, California, which is what, about a 60, 45, 50 mile drive. And then that's where you play your home game. So you don't practice in the same building. You practice in the same building as the Kings in El Segundo.
Yeah, and that's good. We practice. We have two rinks here, big rinks. So the Kings on one side, we're on the other side. We even practice on the same time too. Same kind of schedule. Just on game day, the Kings go to Crypto downtown. We go to Ontario. But even in the morning skate, the Kings, we practice here, and Ontario, we practice here, and then we leave. So everything pretty much happens here. Just to play the game, everyone goes in a different direction, but no, it's I can't complain about the setup.
I want to go back to when you were in Florida and you're like, okay, I'm at the end of my career. You're struggling a little bit, you said, mentally, because it's ended before you want it to end. Did you have something else that you were passionate about other than hockey?
I want to be a real estate. That
really,
I don't know. I love homes. I love looking homes. I even every day I look at homes. We'll see what's going on. I always check out the market. I loved it. So that was something in my mind I wanted to do, and I was slowly getting into it. But end of the day, I missed hockey.
Right.
I just missed not playing, because I just couldn't do it anymore. But I miss being around, being around the guys, getting bad jokes and just listening to all the crap, what's going on, even the travel. hang out with the guys. It's that part I really missed. I really missed the part of hockey. And I felt like, you know what, this is something I know the game. I experienced a lot, and I thought I can share it more, and I don't know, for some reason, then I'm like, okay, let's go back to hockey. And then the opportunities came, and then we move on. But I still think maybe, hopefully one day I have something to do with real estate.
That's interesting, because Jeff, when you finished, you just didn't want anything to do with the game at all. You went right into flying, and now you're back in the game, coaching kids in Las Vegas. Like, it's interesting because there's two different types of people, right? There's guys that just like, I'm done,
yeah,
and guys that still kind of have that passion.
Well, I'm going to correct you there, Lord Bag, a little bit. It wasn't. I think I knew. I agree with Marco. I appreciate him saying that, because one of the biggest things is you go from being on TV, or you go playing in the American League or back in the day, and then the music stops and you don't have anything else. And most hockey players are really good people, so they have that going for them, and they know how to work, and they're disciplined. But that's a lot of times you've given up a lot, just about everything to get there. So mentally, I agree. And I think the way I handled it is I just dove right into something else head first, because that's all we knew, right? We practices at be there at 8, on the ice at 9, and do. The bus leaves at this time, the airplane leaves at this time. That's how we always operated. So I like the fact that Marco, and if you guys, he's sitting at home, you say, well, Marcus, he's one of the most squared away guys we know. Look at what he's done. Yeah, but you know what? What he's saying is the same thing you see with just about every player. I would say 99.9% of the players do the same thing. They struggle mentally a little bit. And unfortunately, sometimes that goes off the road and it takes a while to get them back. Marco just happened to know a lot of people around. He was an outgoing guy, was able to come back into the game.
Had kids.
Maybe handled it a little differently than I did. I went, boom, I made a left turn because I was out of the game, and or a right turn, and I went right into aviation because that was my next thing. I'm like, I got to do something. And so away I went.
Nice.
Sorry, Marco. We were
it's good to hear. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
shared that, because it's important for people to know, like, it's not easy to make that transition out of anything. We just happen to be hockey players that are going in another direction. But Marco touched on it earlier, like whatever you do, change is tough. And especially when you're really good at something and you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you talk to these guys at all when you're coaching them? Then you guys that are wrapping it up, do you have any talks with them? Do you?
No, it's a tough conversation, and you have to know as a player, and if you're still playing the game, you don't want to hear it. And you also believe this is bullshit, right? This is no, I can still play.
Right.
And that's what I thought too. And in my last year, no, why is the coach not playing me? I can still play. I'm good enough. That's what you think as a player, right? Now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, that was embarrassing. Like, I was just carrying a jersey out there. But when you're in that moment, you don't realize, and you don't want to believe it either. So yeah, that's what I learned. And I would never say anything to a player who's still playing and talk about, only if he comes up to me and asks me, hey, how's it going to be, and blah blah blah. It's a different story, but I would never touch on it because it's a very sensitive topic. Yeah.
Right.
And in most cases, when you're getting ready to leave the game, you're a very young man, but you're an older man. You're a veteran in hockey, but in life, you're still very young. So you still have all this go-go juice. You're ready to go and do everything. But, the game is, it's hard on you as you get a little older. And if you have injuries, it can pass you by in a hurry. And that's tough to come to grips with.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your travel schedule like with the Ontario Reign? Do you guys bus everywhere, or do you fly everywhere? What how do you
A
do it?
little bit of both. I thought it would be worse. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was just bus only.
Right.
But no, it's been pretty good. Like on Friday, we're gonna bus to San Diego, so that's a short bus ride. We fly to Colorado, we fly to San Jose, we
Mhm.
fly to Canada, so it's not that bad. I think Bakersfield for us, it's probably one of the longest rides. I think one trip we have to Vegas, but no, it's you know what, it's not that bad. So it's a little bit of mix. I think the longest bus ride is 4 or 5 hours.
Nice.
Hey, Marco. Okay, so I wanted to ask you about your day. Like normally, what time will you get to the rink? You guys are off today. You just played some games over the weekend, and I think you guys played last night, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. But what's your day look like normally? Like, what's the head coach? And maybe tell us if it's any different than when you were an assistant with the Kings.
Yeah, no, I mean, a day like that, I give my coaching staff, everyone a day off today too, because we needed it. It was a long week, just mentally too. You just need to turn off, turn off the music, turn off hockey, and just spend your day with your family. That's always good, and come back tomorrow. As a head coach, it's a little different. I still have the work to do, just to from the game last night, and just getting prepared for tomorrow. And then after this, I'm gonna go home, and then I'm try to don't think about hockey too, because that helps me too. But on a regular day, I usually shortly after 6 a.m. I'm at the rink. Our coaches all at the rink. We have a meeting at 8 o'clock every day. So I don't care what you do before, but everyone has different areas of the game, and everyone has their own little homework. So they got to do it before. But when we meet at 8 o'clock, we're going to talk about it. We might show look at a lot of video. Players come in usually around 9 o'clock. We practice at 11 on the ice. Usually has some meetings with the team before too, and practice for an hour, and again do some extra work, and hopefully get out of here by 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Nice. Interesting. What's funny is I know you from you coming to see stand up. That's how I know you. And you've always got this great smile, and you have a great sense of humor. So when you talk about being strict, it's really funny to me. Like, I'm gotta do this, and this. I'm like, nah, it's not the guy. So,
But you know what? It's same for me too, though.
right.
Like today, you're actually a serious guy today. I can actually talk normal to you.
Right.
But then I see you on stage, you're like totally different, right? So when I'm here, I'm business. I do believe in structure. I do believe in discipline. That's how I believe you win, and that's how I do things around here. What I do outside the rink, it's a different story. I'm actually a nice guy. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, super nice guy. We talked about you being on the bench, and this good looking guy is on the bench and running this team. I couldn't think of a better figurehead to have on the bench, and I know how you are with people, so I can't imagine what it'd be like. Your players must love you. Let's talk to, as you around the NHL and AHL, kids coming up, what do they need to be doing right now? Say you're a 14-year-old kid that isn't being picked up by the German and having your car stolen by the 40-year-old that you're playing with. What do kids need to be? What do they need to be doing? Like, what do they need to be working on the ice and off the ice?
You know what? Over the years, it became stronger and stronger, is your personal fitness. I think guys have to come in very good shape, first of all, because this is your first impression, right? So we look at the development camps or the young kids even before they get drafted, and like, how's his fitness first, right? And it doesn't matter if he's tall or short or whatever, but I think you have to be strong. You have to be in a really good shape, be willing to put in the work, because that's a tough age too, right? 14, 15, 16, you start to
Right.
go a little bit and hang out with friends, girlfriends, whatever, you name it. There's a lot of stuff going on, but are you still willing to put in that work? So I think that's really important. And the fundamentals, I know everyone is talking right now, even on social media, it's hard, because everyone wants to do tricks and all that stuff, but we hate it because kids now only do that, right? They want to just play with the puck, but they forget about the basics of the game, the skating, the shooting, the how to play the game the right way. So there's a lot of things we can do, but again, coming with the right mindset, the fitness, and the skating, and just be a normal hockey player, I think it's always a good thing.
That's interesting. Do you think they'll ever be? You remember basketball had that and one league when everything was tricks?
Yeah.
Do you think they'll ever do that? Do you think they'll ever have a hockey league like that?
You never know. The way how social media works now. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's
Right. And a funny story, right, I don't know, I shouldn't even tell that story, but with Todd over at the Kings, we call it the toys, right? We had a lot of stuff on the ice and do some skill stuff. Young kids loved it. All the guys, they didn't care, right? The young kids loved it. And soon as those young kids didn't play well, or we were losing too, the toys were gone. Screw all that.
Right.
Teach them how to play hockey first, and then you can come and work on your skill. So that's how it changed here. Right. And there's something to it, I think. But yeah, so you just have to be really careful because of social media too.
You need that imagination, but at the same time, you need, like you say, the fundamentals.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice, Jeff.
I'm interested on what Marco is going to look like on a real estate sign. I mean, I think, you know what, that I can't wait. We got to get your own real estate sign, hang it up in the office. But well, that's interesting. I will say this, though. I agree with Marco on this one, because the young kids, and I'm on the ice here in Vegas with minor hockey a lot, and I'll give you an example. We did a drill the other day where they had to walk it out from behind the net, and I would say 7 or 8 out of 10 times they were trying to roll it up on their stick like Zegras or the Michigan or whatever you want to call it, and try and bring it around that way instead of just coming out. We obviously had some obstacles for them to try and get around to get out to the front of the net, and I think Marco's onto it, makes a great point there. The game's won and lost in the trenches, and when you do the simple things or the little things better than the other team, most nights you're going to be successful. And it's fun to see all that stuff come into the game. I think it's great to see people be able to, show their skill in that. But that's something I see too. I was like, man, are you guys ever? And of course, the puck's rolling off their stick just about every time. And the one time they actually get it, it's like throwing fire or gas on the fire, because everyone's like, "Oh, that's awesome." But yeah, I think we got to if you look at the successful teams in the league, they do the little things really well. And they're not always the fanciest teams. I think that's something that we got to keep an eye on, especially as we grow. These kids come up through minor hockey.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you finally saying yes to doing this. Even if you're going to take me down for my skating abilities. Congratulations on everything. That it's the greatest part about when you took that German team to the Olympics, everybody's like, where did Marco come from? It just came out of nowhere. But you did the work. That you did the work, and you did you started with kids in minor hockey, and you found a way. It's not like you're just hanging out playing video games, and they say, hey, you want to run the team? So
From Florida.
but yeah. Which I think most people forget. You got to put in the work, and you put in the work, the door opens a little bit, and you push it wide open. That's the way it has to be done. So,
and Todd McLennan, head coach of the Kings, he's still to this point. Hopefully, I changed his mind a little bit. He was worried about former players.
Really?
Yes, because exactly what he just said about work. A lot of former players make a lot of money, whatever, they don't have to do it, but they just want to be around. They don't want to put in the work, right? So hopefully I changed his mind a little bit, and he, but he always, even today, he's gonna tell me he's still nervous about it, because his experience was that guys, former players he had in the past, that were just not willing to work, and they're not willing to get up at 5:30 in the morning and do some homework and think about hockey and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, that's exactly what you said. So
that's interesting.
You have to be all in. Let's put it that way. You have to be all in with anything you do, because otherwise, no, it's not going to be good enough.
Hey,
Well,
Marco,
I kind of understand. Like, sorry, Jeff, I'm going to interrupt. Like when you watch Wayne Gretzky coach Arizona, you could tell he is just like, why aren't you guys just winning? Like, you could tell it was like that. It was. I just understand. You guys, you just do it like me, So I kind of see what he's saying.
Hey, but Marco, do you? It's interesting. I just wanted to go back to what you were talking about. How early you get there? Do you think you get some of the most? You're most effective in a lot of areas from that 6 to 8 a.m. or 6 to 9 slot, where the other coaches are there. You're ready to go. You're excited about the day, and you find you get a lot of. I mean, because a lot of people aren't even up at 6, right? But you guys are rocking and rolling at that point. Do you find that that's some of your most effective hours of the day coaching?
Absolutely. I'm a morning person too, so I might go to bed, but I'm up in the morning. I'm ready to go, and yes, we got a lot of stuff done even before 8 a.m. right? And then 8 a.m. it comes in, and then the next, and then the practice, and we feel good about it. What's happening after 1 o'clock? Now we are getting tired too, right? So that's why every coach is a little different, but I feel like if your brain is not there, we're like players, right? If your brain is not there, you're not gonna get better. And for me, if you're done, we do all the work in the morning, and then when practice is done, yes, you do some stuff for the next day, whatever. But you know what? If you want to go home, go home. I don't have a problem at all. You don't have to stay in here because of me till 5 p.m. No. So that's why we start early and get everything done, and then you can enjoy the rest of the day and your families, because for me, that's very important too.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. Have a great season. Got to get a show soon. I don't know if you're doing anything Thursday night, but if you want to come out Thursday.
Actually, I just wanted to ask you about Thursday. I just found out, not even through you, I have to find out through someone else.
I can't believe how much I love when I'm like, how much posting on social media do I have to do? You're too busy watching Zegras do his.
No, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're back in Hermosa.
Me too.
That's where we all live, and that's where we love to see you. So yeah, hopefully we all get a chance.
Well, then we'll hook you up some tickets tomorrow night. Coming on down. Jeff was supposed to come down, but he's too busy. He's too busy flying his jets all over the place. Awesome.
Actually, yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
That's it. I was just going to say tomorrow night I'll see Flats. So I'm going to go down and watch Winnipeg's here in Vegas. See my first game of the year was the Ontario Reign and the Abbotsford Canucks. My second game of the year is going to be the Winnipeg Jets and your Vegas Golden Knights. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice.
Yeah, but
Nice.
yeah. So yeah, well, thanks, Marco.
I
Appreciate
guess
you
what
coming, man.
I need to ask this question. Was Wade still in San Jose when you were there? Wade Flaherty?
No, he was before me.
Before you.
Hunts, I saw Hunts was he was in my first training camp.
Oh, really?
And then I had him as a coach because Daryl Sutter got fired.
Right.
And then Ron Wilson and Settler and Hunts took over. And I just had him for a short time.
How tough was that guy?
You know, my first training camp with the San Jose Sharks, just quickly story. And I'm, young kid, 16 years old, no clue what's going on. And we played a game and I looked at some of the guys, like tough guys. And, hopefully he's not listening. I thought, yeah, playing wise, yeah, they're not really good, right? But all of a sudden they dropped the gloves and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, where am I here? And I was actually afraid of them, like all these guys, in training camp, like this is like, all right, you fight against your buddies, whatever. And I couldn't believe it, but they're tough.
We'd always heard the rumor about him grabbing guys and holding both their hands, and then he confirmed it. I was like, what the hell?
I have you know what? It's a hard job to do, and I have a lot of respect for these guys. It's not easy and it's not fun. But
just a good guy too. He's just a good guy. Yeah.
But I still think he should be part of the game too, because it's fun to watch. Fighting should be, I think, be part of the game.
It's one of those. I know we were wrapping it. It's a game where you wear your heart on your sleeve and the emotions. It's gotta happen. It's gotta happen.
Yeah, for
well,
sure.
it helps keep, those guys help the game actually get played at a high level, because if those guys aren't around, then there's people are just running roughshod. So, like you got a pretty tough customer there in Ontario. What's it, Dottie, right?
Yeah.
And the other night, Saturday night, things got a little out of hand there for a minute, and he just put the lid back on it. And
that was it.
And
that was it.
You know what? Yeah, that was the end of it. And before you go, Marco, I wanted to ask you about this young guy, TJ Tynan. He's been the most valuable player in the American League last couple of years. And he's not the biggest guy, but some people might be like, well, why is this guy not get a chance to play in the NHL? But when I saw this kid the other night, and I was just so impressed because his motor is amazing. He's not the biggest guy on the ice. He's in the middle of everything. Tell me what he means to your team, and the chances if someone was asking about maybe someone looking to get him some games. I know I think he's 30 now, but still, I mean, what does he mean to what you guys are trying to do there? Because he's your captain, and he does have some experience in the league, but.
No, he and the guys know, we all know, and that's why we signed him. I think he's one of the best players in the league, and we do need him. And he's not tall, but he's very fast. He's very competitive, right? I think that's something he wants to be the best. Not just every game, every shift. He wants to be the difference, and he hates to see. You have to settle him down sometimes, but that's why we named him the captain. He's still, I know he's around 30 years old, whatever, but there's still some growing in his game. He still needs to learn, I think, to be a good captain and also be a good leader. He still needs to learn how to play two ways of the ice. And maybe that's something why he's still in the minors and not in the NHL. Maybe he has a little bit of size too, because it's obviously going to get pushed around in the NHL. But I know with his quickness and stuff like that, I don't know. I think there's something to it. We're glad to have him. And hopefully, this year's training camp, he had a really good game or two. He showed his strength and what he can be. And And now I'm trying to work with him every day to maybe, even in a later stage in his career, maybe he will get a chance to maybe be an NHL player one day.
I love it.
Right on.
I know we were wrapping it up, but Jeff brought that up. Do you have to deal with managers and agents at all? Like, do you like the players, do you have to deal with them at all, or do they have to go?
No,
gentlemen?
thank God not. No.
Okay.
I always, it's funny you said it because every time I go up and, especially with Rob Blake, and he always tells us, yeah, the agent called, the agent called, the agent called. I'm like, oh my God. If you're the GM, you have to worry about everything, right? You're ahead of everything, but then you have to deal with GMs, with agents every day. He said, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. You almost need a person just to answer the agent's calls, right? They try to split it up a little bit in different guys, but I think they.
Well, the reason I bring it up, we have a friend who used to be assistant coach with the Barracuda, who has now moved over to agency, and we're just talking about how selling and buying, it's very, very different, right? So when you're selling, you got to walk a fine line where you're trying to make squeak, but at the same time not too much, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah.
But yeah, it's not easy for management, I would say.
Yeah, the whole game's not easy. It's
no.
Anyways, it's we're finishing this up. It's 7 a.m. because you got up at 6 and have a great day. Thanks for
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Always. Well, Jeff, another interview from the Los Angeles Kings staff and another fine
That's right. We got to go for the GM. We got to go for Luke or Rob next. Rob Blake or Luke Robitaille, because we've got Dana, we got Daryl, we got the press side, we got Marco. We got to keep sourcing the LA Kings organization.
Absolutely, we got to keep digging. I love the fact that everybody that comes on that's seen the show is like just waiting for the other shoe to drop and me to.
Yeah. They're in shock. He can put a sentence together. He's going to ask me a question. What?
He's not just going to call me a douche. I love it. I just want
to figure out how I fit in too. That's my favorite part. They're like, okay, what's going on here? So what were you going to say?
I wanted to show this. So you got the picture of all British Columbia behind you. I have a picture behind me of a glacier that you fly over when you're on your way to Terrace. I'm going to put out there, send pictures of your hometown. People from Terrace will watch this, listen to this. Send your favorite pictures of your hometown. Also the rink, and we'll put them behind us and show them, give you a little bit of ice time and tell the story about it. So send us your photos. You can send it to Ian at ianbag.com if you want. I know we have an email, but I don't know what it is. I think it's Ian enjoying orange slices.
Hey, we're doing the best we can. We can't remember everything. I can't believe you got Super Deeker in this week. I thought that was awesome. I thought we were going to stop after that.
We got Super Deeker in. What else? Do we have any shout outs this week, Jeff?
Oh, you know what? I did have a shout out. You got one?
No.
Did we do shout outs yesterday?
I did. I gave a shout out yesterday, but you didn't care. I gave a shout out. You should give a shout out to the French toast at that place. That French toast is something.
Oh yeah, I can give a shout out to the Hyatt Regency LAX airport. They treat me like gold every time I'm there. I don't like Martine and Pete, the wait staff. Those guys are the nicest people in the world. So a shout out to them for sure, because
it's important when we travel so much, when you meet people that you can connect with, it just makes it a completely different feeling in those hotels. So yeah,
it does. I mean, when they come in, Ian was in with me the other morning, and so they always treat me so good when I'm down there. But I'm trying to think. While we were talking to Marco, there was a shout out that came into my head, but of course we never write anything down on this show, right? So why would I remember?
No, we do this the way we live, on the fly.
That was good.
Well, have fun at the game tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess we could give a shout out to Flats. Winnipeg's coming to town. And that is, I hope that.
Are they in LA this week too?
No, they are, this is their road trip. This is what a week for them. So they went Dallas on Tuesday, day off, Colorado, Wednesday, Vegas, Thursday, Toronto, Saturday, St. Louis, Monday. At Toronto and St. Louis at home. So they have their hands full this week. They're playing Colorado tonight, but so I'll give a shout out to Flats. Be seeing him tomorrow night. And we usually get together after the game and do some catching up. So that's, I guess, my
Tell him we
shout-out
need
to
him as a guest. Tell him we're getting really good guests and he should be one of them.
Well, we've been trying to work on him, just like
Great
Busky,
player,
but
that.
yeah. So I got.
Him and Husky are totally pushing are the people that we, and Randy Morton too. He should be a guest as well. They're all pushing us off. All
Well,
because I said Columbus was in the West.
Love to all.
Loved all. Except for you, Cam Miller.